Tina, what about you?
All right.
Okay, you can go on out.
All right.
I'll catch up.
Okay. Now that's gonna be the, doing mine, you don't need to give it in.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Is she there? Do these guys need to come and do anything? Is it good? With the regular meeting of the Edgecombe County Board of Education, April 11, 2022, please come to order. To honor social distancing related to the coronavirus pandemic, the public may attend this meeting per capacity of 25 on a first-come basis. The public may view, however, the board meeting through the YouTube given on the website. Let me say that Board Member Kent will be joining us virtually. Please begin with me, if you will, by standing and pledging allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Item number 2, the approval of the agenda. You have been sent an agenda and it sits before you. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the agenda presented? Dr. B?
I do have one request to add 8.5B, approval of contract between Edgecombe County Board of Education and Waters Contract Company for MMA gym window replacement in the amount of $205,000.
Are there others? Hearing none, do we hear a motion to accept the agenda as amended?
Evelyn Wilson, I offer a motion that we will approve our April 11th, 2022 agenda as amended.
Second.
It has been motioned and seconded that for the approval of the amended April 11, 2022 agenda. Are there any unreadiness or questions concerning that? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ian Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Item number 3.1, recognitions. Ms. Hope.
Good evening, Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the Board, Superintendent Dr. Bridges. It's now time to recognize our ECPS Employee of the Month for April. Kendra Hilliard-Smith is the head custodian and a bus driver at West Edgecombe Middle School. According to Principal Dr. Kelsey Ballard, there isn't anything that Ms. Hilliard-Smith isn't willing to do, from cleaning the school by herself when other custodians are absent to filling in when other bus drivers call out at the last minute. She is always there. It doesn't matter what her personal plans are, she will drop anything to be there for the school and the students. She's the eyes and ears of the school, often knowing about issues before anyone else. She has excellent communication skills and carries herself with the utmost integrity. She volunteers for extra duties and even plans treats for teachers on special occasions. Dr. Ballard says she's the most caring and kind individual and truly one of the best humans she's ever worked with. Congratulations to Kendra Hilliard-Smith, the ECPS Employee of the Month.
Ms. Hilliard-Smith is a friend from way back, during my tenure back in the day. Congratulations. There you are, and here is a check from State Farm.
Oops, I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
Thank you. Good work. Pretty sure you don't have to do that by yourself there. That check. You're welcome. Item
Congratulations.
3.2, Southwest Edgecombe High School Coach Sandra Langley.
Tonight, we also want to recognize a true legend, Coach Sandra Langley from Southwest Edgecombe High School. For more than 40 years, she has guided the girls' basketball team at Southwest. She started the girls' basketball program when the school first opened in 1978. In 2020, she was recognized with the Lifetime Achievement Award. She has been inducted into the North Carolina Athletic Directors Association Hall of Fame, the Twin County Hall of Fame, and the Barton College Sports Hall of Fame. She has more wins than any other female coach in North Carolina history. Under her leadership, the school has won 4 girls basketball state championships. During this past basketball season, she reached a significant milestone, reaching 800 career wins in coaching girls basketball. Thank you, Coach Langley, for your dedication to your school and the students. We are proud of your accomplishments. Please come forward to be recognized.
You were there when I got there, but I'm going to still claim a little bit of this as well. Congratulations. Bless you. Thank you. Congratulations. Job well done.
Speechless right now.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything y'all do.
And thank you for what you do for our children. Item number 4, public comments. This time for public comments has been established for citizens who desire to address the board and who register prior to the start of the meeting. The board has established a 3-minute time limitation for comments to be taken into consideration by the board. Feedback will not be given during the board session. If a response is necessary, the board will respond within 10 working days. We thank you. This is via Edgecombe County Board Policy 2310. I have 3 persons who have signed up from the Freedom Organization as they want to speak to us about their usage of their presentation at the Princeville School. Dr. Lisa Wilson, Marquetta Dickens, and of course, Valquez. If you'll come.
All right, my name is Marquetta Dickens. I am a proud product of Mr. Privet. You can go ahead and claim this one. You can definitely claim this one, Mr. Privet. Actually, I had Mr. Privet in elementary and middle school. So I'm a proud product of Edgecombe, Edgecombe County Public School System. I actually, I went on to play basketball at NC State for 4 years and so on and so forth. So I've done a lot, and most people here know me for basketball. But I have returned home in a different capacity with a different mission. And so one of the things that, I have done is I've co-founded a nonprofit called Freedom Organization, and we are a 501c. We are a community development corporation, and we focus to assist traditionally underserved resource communities as well as individual community members to discover their own freedoms. This includes harnessing their collective power through historical preservation, economic development, education, community engagement, and agriculture. And so Turquoise Vasquez here, she's also an Africologist, graduated from Temple, and she's in charge of our historical culture and preservation Recreation Department. And then Dr. Nelson here is a board member of ours, and also she's a part of Triangle Bike Works. And together we have really spearheaded this thing called Princeville Homecoming. And so most of us here knows that Princeville is the first town chartered by free African Americans in the country. And we like to highlight that history, you know, and not only highlight that history, but give honor and really show other people coming into our communities the future. And the way that you highlight the future of a community is through its youth. And so we're here today to just kind of tell you a little bit about it, but really too for you all here to think about what is it that our organizations can do to help empower the things that you're already trying to do within the school system yourselves, and how can we as a community development corporation help fill some of those voids and our gaps within our communities. And so Mr. Ellis, I got to give you credit too. So Mr. Ellis was also another one of my principals, and so looking around this room, seeing some familiar faces, I'm super excited to actually be back here and do my part and do what I can to be inspiration to our youth and to partner with you all to make sure that that happens. And so a part of Princeville Homecoming is really collective, and I'll let Dr. Nelson talk a little bit more about, you know, what in terms of bringing outside resources in and outside partners in to our community and what that looks like. But for us and for the Princeville community, we really want to re-energize our community, get our community excited about not only its past history, but also its present and what could be. And what better way than do that, like I said, is through empowering our youth. And so we've talked to Ms. Mercer about a number of different activities. One of our partners has already been to Princeville Montessori, which is the Hill Farm, to do some things there. And so we love to expand that to other, you know, communities outside of just Princeville. And so because our CDC really focused regionally, but of course home is where the heart is, and so I'm starting right here in Edgecombe County. So without further ado, Dr. Nelson, Turquoise, I'll let you all step up because we only got respect for your time. Thank you.
I'm going to get mine out the way really quick because I'm not ready to cry. My daughter's an educator. My son-in-law's an educator. And I'm so proud of this woman and so proud of y'all because this is like all your years of work produced this. And she inspired me to host this event through Princeville. I knew about Princeville. I'm an outsider. I've been in Rocky Mount since 1993, but I'm from New York, so I'll always be a New Yorker and a Yankee to y'all. But I love y'all anyways. I say y'all, not you guys. And my organization is called Triangle Bike Works, and what we do is take youth of color on long-distance cycling tours cross-country from the Gullah Geechee corridor from North Carolina, Chapel Hill, all the way down to St. Augustine. These young people ride bikes 100 miles a day and camp out every night and hit historical sites along the way. And it is a movement that I want to bring to youth in Eastern North Carolina, number one. Number two, Princeville is perfect because it is hidden history. Everybody thinks Eatonville is the oldest town, and we have the oldest town, a gem right here, where people refuse to leave and have pride in their town. And with good reason, because it produces this. And so that sort of resilience and that sort of energy and that sort of love, I want to bring people from the outside to see what is possible and bring economic development, bring that energy here, but take the love and the history and the culture and the heritage out, because that's needed as well. And so it's a 100-mile bike ride, a century bike ride, a 60-mile bike ride, and a 44-mile bike ride hitting black farms. And everything is vertically integrated. I deliberately, in order to circulate money in an underserved community, sought out black vendors from porta potties to bed and breakfasts. And along the way, amazing people have come to me. There's a gentleman that is here now. He has a 48-acre horse farm. He was raised in foster care. He grew up in D.C. and came here. It's a long story, but at any rate, his passion is, and he articulates it so amazingly, from the pavement to the pasture. So he takes young men from the hill in Rocky Mount. If anybody knows where the hill is in Rocky Mount, these folks have never even seen a horse. And in 3 or 4 weeks, they are now riding horses bareback. They are mucking stalls, brushing the horses. They can corral the horses. They can break a horse. They help them deliver a foal. I mean, he's created a home. So his mission to develop the human capital of our young people is in alignment. So he's part of the festival. I mean, it's that kind of energy that brought us all together, and it's going to make this thing amazing. And we've partnered with Edgecombe Community College, so our riders are posting from Edgecombe Community College, riding to the elementary school, taking a tour of the historical sites of Princeville, and then headed out into Edgecombe County to hit these black farms. And I would love it if you guys would spread the word, show up, come participate, buy a bike. It's been 3 minutes. I'm gonna stop.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, just thank you all for giving us this opportunity to speak to you all. But I'm here because of my team, Freedom. I'm also an outsider. The history here is something that's so precious, should not be lost, and should be pushed forward into the light. And the children here who are growing up should be proud of where they're from. So if we do have an opportunity, we would love to be able to be in this environment, influencing the children, helping them, and just giving them another reason to be proud of their culture.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting us talk. Good day.
Ms. Scott and Ms. Worsley, that bike ride that we were talking about on the plane, you can get it. Thank you all. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Item 5, approval of the open session meeting, regular meeting, March 14th, 2022. You have received those minutes, and you have had a chance to look at them. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions? Hearing none, I need a motion for approval.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve our March 14th, 2022 regular business board meeting open session minutes.
Second motion.
It has been motion and second for the approval of the open session March 14, 2022 regular business board meeting minutes. You've heard that motion and seconded. Any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Wilson, aye. Marvin Scott, aye. Lily Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Item number 6.1, school updates, Dr. B.
Thank you. You have several handouts. I want to first look at the one pager, and it has a front and a back, and I want to go over that, and then I will just let you know the other packets that you have. So the first one is our ECPS COVID dashboard. That's what Susan and Matt Joyner update each Friday. As you look at our data, still full of zeros, which is good, meaning no new student cases, no new staff cases. Below that, you see Edgecombe County COVID data, and you see the dates from the 23rd through April 5th. You see 12 cases for our county, for our entire county, which are still very low numbers. So just one, every month we'll come before you and we'll share this information just so you have access to it. I know you can go on the website, but want to pull it for you so you have it. The next item you'll see is the TIP Learning Accelerator. And you see a student's name, Keyshawn Powell. He's a junior at Southwest. He and his family joined several other districts as far as our TIP convening. That was in Wilmington this week on Thursday and Friday. They did a design sprint, and they're doing that because there is something called a high-tech high school. This General Assembly has given $8 million to TIP to fund these high-tech high schools. Edgecombe County is one of the 17 districts that is a part of TIP. And so during this training session with the students, they wanted to hear from the students. They wanted to provide them with some exposure related to careers in high tech. And again, they wanted to hear their ideas. And so they were able to have a convening with them in Wilmington on Thursday and Friday of this past week. Keyshawn's group in particular, they raised just some topics around equity and noted that all students have access to opportunities that will introduce and prepare them for careers in high tech. Aaron joined the team at TIP during this outing, and again, we're excited. We have students that will represent North and Tarboro High School. They were not able to attend this time, but we did have one student that attended. While I was not able to go, I received about 3 or 4 emails from colleagues that commented on Keyshawn and the work that he was doing and how impressed they were with him, with the stories, with the sharing that Aaron provided, just kind of giving some background on some of the work that we've done in Edgecombe. And so it always makes you feel good when you can't be there to hear good news. But I had several colleagues to send me a text message and say just how exciting it was, and that they were going to just simply copy some of the stuff we were doing. And I said, have at it. Copy what you need to. That's what we do in education to get better. If you'll turn over to the back, you'll see some community partner scholarships. And I won't read all of these to you, but we've had several scholarship selection process for the graduating seniors. You see Hitachi, you see the students listed, you see the schools, you see State Employees Credit Union, and you see the 2 students who received those scholarships. More to come. We still have the Barnhill Scholarship that hadn't been decided yet, but more to come. But you'll see kind of the scholarships that our students have been awarded. Excited about that, happy for them. It's always good when you see kids receiving funding for the hard work that they've done. At the very bottom, you see the demerger. And you see that there are a series of meetings that will be held. These will be community meetings, May 3rd, May 10th, May 18th, and it shows you the locations. Also under that, you see the design team meeting. The next one will be this Wednesday from 4 to 5:30, and that will be an open meeting. So we've posted that today to indicate that it will be an open meeting for the public. So just wanted to share that with you. Also, what I did was I made you a copy of some previous presentations that we've had, but I wanted you to have your hands on them. The first one you see, and I won't go over these, but the first one you see is from February 2020. And that was our first convening where we talked with our county commissioners and our school board about the possibility of demerger. And so that's a pretty lengthy document. It has different options. It has some of the concerns around the buildings. It gives you the number of students and which schools they would come from in Rocky Mount. So that one happened at Princeville PD Center. And again, that was 2 years ago. Ms. Worsley, I think you were not on the board, but you now have a copy. The second document that you have, or PowerPoint you have, is from our first design team meeting. It has Rocky Mount demerger on the front, and it gives you some of the meeting outcomes. This is a handout. This is a presentation from Mr. Cannon that he shared with the design team, so you now have a copy of that. And then last, what you have is the third one says Rocky Mount demerger. This was for our county commissioners board retreat that was a few weeks ago. So I wanted you to have a copy of that as well. So you have those 3 documents. You have the dates that we'll have 3 community meetings. Our county commissioners asked us to host 3 community meetings. They're listed there. We will talk a little bit about those at the Wednesday design team meeting, and then we will follow up with you as we continue the process. I'll stop there, see if there's any questions about anything that's on the front and back of this one pager.
I have a
Yes,
question
ma'am. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
about the demerger meeting. Reverend Privet, I left a news article there.
Right here.
On April the 6th, there's a news article that announces that April the 18th at the OIC auditorium, it's a demerger meeting. Does it have anything to do with the 3 meetings that you just announced?
No.
Are we aware of the April 18th meeting?
I'm not aware of that. I'm looking at Erin to see if she's aware of that. No.
And neither am
It's not.
Yeah.
You're not.
No.
Okay.
I'll certainly check with Mr. Cannon, but I've not heard that. Yeah, I've not heard about the April 18th.
You don't know.
I do not know.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Ms. Kent?
No, sir.
Okay.
Okay,
All right.
and the last thing I'll say is Ms. Pittman is not here. She's here virtually. She is at her PAINT conference. I think this is her first time being able to attend. We're glad she's able to attend, but she is present if there are concerns or questions related to HR.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Item 6.2, maintenance, Mr. Williams.
you ready? Good evening, Mr. Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Superintendent Dr. Bridges, fellow board members. A few of our maintenance updates as where we currently are. Today, we were actually able to get the chiller swapped out at Patillo. So both of those train chillers came off the building today. We're starting with the repiping. So there's the crane pulling them off earlier this morning. And there are the two chillers, the two new ones. So we haven't finished insulating the pipes, but they are set in place. We will have them ready to run by the end of this week. And then the pumps have not come, but we'll still have air. When by the time everybody's back for spring break, everything should be ready and running. All right, so those two are gone, so that should take care of our issue there. Carver, we have been waiting on windows. So we started with the third grade. We're not able to go room by room by room because of testing and different accommodations in classrooms with Carver's schedule. So the kindergarten building, we've just about taken out every one of those. So as you can see now, we have the new windows with the insulated panels above and a light window tint on top of it. There's no kids in this building. We've had them relocated. So with the plywood it's just an empty classroom at this point. So as you can see, we went from the old aluminum windows, which is on the far end, to the tinted windows on the right, on your left side. Where that piece of plywood is, that's an emergency exit window. That piece of glass has not come. So once we get that glass, it'll actually look like a solid piece of window, but it'll actually open and close with a crank handle. More of that third grade wing, as you can see the difference in the windows that we put in already. This is the side of the kindergarten building that's right close by the dumpster. So that whole side has been completed. We just have not put the soffit back. We had to put some insulation board above that to tie the windows and the actual siding together. So we'll get that closed up, and that whole side of that building, this building should be done by Friday of this week. Frames are sitting on the ground. All right, the west canopy that goes from the pre-K building to the main building, we have finally got that complete. So the poles were set last time we talked, and so here's the finished canopy that connects the 600 building to the main building where our kids don't have to walk in the rain. The burner assembly at Stocks, I think we talked about it last time, but it's in place. That boiler is producing, but of course now we don't need it, so we've closed that one down for the year. But it is in place and functioning for next year. That boiler actually is scheduled to be replaced at the end of this summer. So we'll have a new boiler, new burner, and that should take care of our problem over at Stocks. So as far as upcoming, of course we have a window project at West. We've got one mobile unit set on campus so far. We've got another 2-pack coming. Talked to Dr. Bridges about it today. They'd rather lease us one that's going to cost us about $200,000 than for us to buy it at $100,000. So it makes sense for us to buy it with our ESSER funds and have it and not have a payment on it, because the payment is almost $6,000 a month. So my thing is, what do we do after ESSER runs out? Right. So that's a big chunk of money. So I'd rather buy one than to actually lease one. But we can't replace any windows until probably the summer at this school because we're just so locked for space. The Carver chiller, it did not come as we thought it would the end of last month, but it's actually scheduled to be here on the 14th. So this chiller will be replaced or be taken off the building this coming week. We're working out something with Miss Miller about moving kids around. We thought about putting window units in, but with us putting new windows in, we cannot drill into those frames. If we drill into the frames, it automatically voids our warranty on those windows. So we're gonna have to figure out some way to move. She does have some space, but I mean, we just gotta figure it out to make it work. And hopefully we'll have some decent weather, like maybe 80 and below, where it won't be so warm in those buildings. But again, we do have fans, we do have air conditioning in some parts of the building, but if we take that chiller off, that whole main hallway, when you come to the front door, back to the mobile unit, won't have any air. Not only did we take the chiller out, we're also replacing all these pumps and stuff that go along with it. So as you can see, those pumps leak. That's what all that water is around the floor. They're original to the building. Nothing really had been done to them, so all those will be swapped out. So we'll pretty much have a whole new system once we're done. Martin's Gym, the window replacement, it came back. It was awarded at $205,000. That's an item for action we'll have later on tonight. Waters Contracting Company won that. We've issued a notice to proceed through the designers. We'll have the contract from this month all the way up to December to have that 100% complete. So as you can see, there's numerous windows that have been busted out over time, and then we'll have all those taken out. It was tested for asbestos. There's no asbestos in those window glazings, so that's a good thing. That means we can still have people in the building using one side versus having to close the whole building down. Phillips windows, those are still in design to help get that building kind of brought up to a more up to date. We haven't gotten those drawings back from our architect yet, but it is in the works to have that one replaced. Just a few small updates. We have the carrier units installed at West, the 600 building. So there's a new air conditioning system in the west side, in the West building, in the 600. We have 2 air handlers that are in the middle of a hallway that is going to work out when we can get those out over spring break. So we'll be able to get that air conditioning system back functioning as it should. Pearl Street, not the architects, but the flooring company came in week before last, I'm sorry. They measured for the carpet for these hallways on the part upstairs. So we'll get that changed out over the summer. And we'll also, there's a storage room upstairs that the floor is kind of weak in. We'll get that changed out as well. We have a lot of schools that are trying to hold out with heat, trying to make sure they don't turn it off too early. But it's going to make our utility bills keep continuing to rise if you're burning heat and the air conditioning, because a lot of our systems, the heat and the air are 2 separate systems. So if that heat detects that it's cool, it's going to kick in. Right. Then it's going to fight against the chiller trying to get to that set point. So principals haven't asked for it. When we get back from spring break, all the heat will be off. It doesn't make sense to keep buying fuel when we're going to get 80-degree days. Some mornings are cold, like today was cold. But, by the time you get to 10 or 11 o'clock, it's warm outside. So we're going to turn all the heat off for everybody by the time everybody gets back from spring break. That last one says we did get the RFP out, and Heighton Associates wanted for security access control. I think we talked about that last time. We calculated up, it's 115 doors, but that does include all of our annex offices, schools, and every building we have in the district. Last thing we're doing, we're trying to have something for our custodians. I think we talked about it earlier. We set an awards luncheon for our custodians and our maintenance staff. It'll be May 31st at Princeville Elementary. Just a day to kind of kick back and say thank you to our staff for the stuff that they do. We talked about it. I talked with Dr. Bridges today. There's a lot of stuff that maintenance and the custodians do that it goes unnoticed. Sure. It's okay until you have that person that doesn't come empty your trash. Then you notice that you do have a custodian that's in your building. So we're going to say thank you. It'll be at Princeville Elementary. We'll issue a Custodian of the Year award, Maintenance Member of the Year, Clean School of the Year. We'll also honor some of our retirees from custodial work, and then we'll issue door prizes. But all of this was funded by our local vendors. We set out requests just to see what they would give back to us as a donation. Some have issued gift cards, some wrote checks. We've had those deposited into our account. So we did that just something to say thank you to our staff for all that they do. Last piece is we've updated a lot of our controls in our building, and we really had no control over like the heat and air in our buildings. So what we switched to is a building, it's called Tritium. And what it does is this is North Edgecombe High School. And what it does is now when people call and say, hey, we don't have any heat, we don't have any air. Okay, instead of us driving, 20 minutes on the other side of the county, we just click on the building. And when we click on the building, it tells us the temperature in that building. So if I look at, the ag classroom at North Edgecombe right now, it's 75 degrees. And then we click on the room, it gives us even more detail. So that fan turning right there, it tells me that air is blowing in that building. So they can't say the air is not on in this classroom. And if we have an alarm or something's not right, you'll get a flag on this account. So it tells us what's going on in the building. I don't think it's got any alarms on it right this second. if something was wrong, it would show that as well. So, oh, he does have one. So instead of us going out there, we can just go ahead and troubleshoot it from here. So it says air handler O2 fan alarm. That means that fan tripped. So it's something as simple as going to the boiler room, flipping that fan back on, and then we're out of there. So it cuts down on the troubleshooting time that we have to go out there and look at these systems. But as you can see, we've got 4 schools, I believe, on it. North Edgecombe, Stocks, Patillo, Carver, and Patillo is 5, I'm sorry. So this is where we're moving to. We're trying to get away from the plain screen that doesn't give you any information whatsoever. So we're trying to cut down on our troubleshooting time. If it's something we can fix without having to go in the building, we'll fix it. Any questions?
First of all, while they're thinking about that's amazing. That's wonderful. The second thing is, are we invited to the maintenance? You knew I was going to ask that, didn't you?
We talked about it, and
You're gonna
yes.
send it to us, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we talked about that
And
today.
then thirdly, the windows in the Martin Gym, are they tinted? We've had some problems with sun coming in the latter part of the evening for games.
Yes, the windows will be tinted because of that very reason. It'll be a lot darker than a typical classroom because that glare, in the afternoon, it will be, and plus shining off that floor. So yes, they will be tinted. They'll be a lot darker than the regular classroom windows.
Anybody else?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. Williams, and your staff for the great work that you're doing.
Thank
These are things that have been needed for a long time,
Mhm.
and to actually see it and you being so transparent, we do appreciate that.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'd like to say thank you also for the great work that you're doing and your staff.
Thank you.
Ms. Kent?
I'm just gonna say it's remarkable we're actually even getting things with the supply. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question,
Yes, ma'am.
but I can't ask it now.
Oh, okay.
I realize I can't ask.
Okay.
I'll put it on Dr. B.
Okay, that'll be fine. We'll be- All right.
We do thank you and thank your staff for us.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, item 6.3, community facilities use application request. Dr. B.
Yeah, so if you look in your board books, you see 6.3. Let's see, it is the Ivory Steppers using MMA Auditorium, April 9th from 2 to 8 p.m. You should have gotten a request from Rose, and I think you all signed off on that, and that worked out well. And then 6.4, again, you see the information in your board book. Diamond Thieves baseball team using Southwest Edgecombe High School baseball field, April 2nd from 12 to 8. Again, you should have gotten some information regarding that so that we would be okay with them using the field. Okay?
All right, any questions or comments? 6.5, field trips. Dr. B.
Yep, 6.5, you see Scotland Neck. This too was on April 9th, departed at 9, returned at 1:30. This was a STEM connection competition for the students of Cocoa Wimberley.
Okay.
Okay?
Questions or comments? Anybody? Ms. Kent? Okay.
No, sir.
All right, then we go to 7, no committee reports. 8A, 81A, field trips.
We'll look again. So if you look in your board books, 8.1A, you'll see some extended day field trips. Harbor, Museum of Life and Science in Durham. You see the beginning and end time. In your board book, you see the other information that's needed regarding chaperones and which students would be attending. Stocks, Elementary, Museum of Life and Science in Durham. Then you see the date, time leaving and returning. And then third, you see Northeast High School. They will be going to Carowinds Theme Park in Charlotte. You see the departure time and the return time. And again, you see all the documentation in your book about who was attending and chaperones that supported the field trip. Any questions regarding?
Questions or comments? Dr. B, I don't have, and if I may back up to item B, there are no committee reports, but I would like to alert or ask the committee that does policy committee to, if they will look at our facility use policy and look at the waiver requirements and things that we need, if they would look at that for us.
Okay. I sure will.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
think
sir.
that's Ms. Ken is a part of the policy committee, I think, as well as Mr. Ellis, Ms. Scott as well. Yeah, so I will share that. I know Ms. Pittman is online, but I'll share that with her and ask her to look at that, the facilities use and the waiver. I know we're getting quite a few, but to be able to look at that and if there's some changes or resetting we need to do for it to begin next school year.
Thank you.
Okay, I certainly
All right.
will. Okay.
Okay, 8A, consent items, one motion for all of those that.
Well, I haven't
Oh,
done, I'm
yeah,
sorry,
finish. Go.
8-2A.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Go ahead. There's no game tonight, so take your time.
So we have a few fundraisers listed here. You see Bullock, and again, I won't go through and read them all, but you see what they're selling, the time frame, and they usually try to share kind of what they're selling it for. So you see Bullock, you see Phillips, 2 for Phillips Middle School, and you see Carver. If there are questions, be glad to try to address those. And that's
Questions,
it.
anybody on those? Field trips and fundraisers? Ms. Kent?
No, sir.
All right. Anything else, Dr. B?
None for me.
And we'll go to the one motion approval.
Mhm.
You've heard that report. We need a motion for those consent items.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the consent items as presented. Second.
Scott, you've heard the motion and second for the approval of the consent items as presented. Heard that motion and second. Any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Dan Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. 8B, 8-1B.
We'll ask Dr. Batts if he'll come forward. He shared with you last month, but he does have an update for you regarding the purchasing of math curriculum materials.
I'd like to say good afternoon to Mr. Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the board, Superintendent Bridges. As she stated, I did come to you last month with the approval of 612 Reveal Math Curriculum. As we were working through that process to purchase, we realized that McGraw-Hill gave us their initial quote using the wrong numbers. So that's why it was really cheap and we wanted to jump on that. But really, we realized that they only gave us a quote for middle school only and did not include high school. So before you tonight is the updated quote. So it went from $153,243.84 from last month to this month at $298,884.73, and only because with the addition of the high school, that number pretty much doubled. But again, since we are utilizing McGraw-Hill for 612 math and for 6-8 ELA, he did give us, he took several $1,000s off the quote by giving us all of our teacher materials and professional development for free.
Okay.
Wonderful.
So I'm asking for an updated approval for the 612 math curriculum in that new amount.
Any questions for Dr. Batts? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the purchase of grades 6 through 12 Reveal Math Curriculum and to award the bid to McGraw-Hill in the amount of $298,884.73.
Dan Kent, second.
Okay, Ms. Kent, all right. You've heard that motion and second, and further discussion or unreadiness. Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Dan Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Thank you, Dr. Batts.
Absolutely.
All right, item number 8-2B, the adoption of a schedule for the superintendent's annual evaluation. In your board books, you have a schedule presented there. If you'll turn to it. Are there any concerns or questions about that printed schedule there, beginning with April 11th and ending July 11th, 2022? Any unreadiness, any questions, any problems with that schedule? Hearing none, do we hear a motion to adopt the schedule for the evaluation of this timeline for the evaluation of superintendent?
Evelyn Wilson, Offer motion to adopt the schedule for the superintendent's annual evaluation.
Second.
You've heard the motion and second for the adoption of the schedule printed there for the superintendent's annual evaluation. That timeline presented, you've heard that motion and second. Any unreadiness or questions? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. All right, 8.3B, approval of the community facilities use application request waiver.
Okay. As you see in the board book, you have a request from William Parker and Phillips Bricks Alumni Association requesting use of the multipurpose room at Phillips on August 27th from 12 to 5 p.m. for their high school alumni reunion picnic. And they have included the information as requested by our board. You see a letter from them, you see the application submitted, and I'm not sure if there's any questions that you all have that we need to process back with them before you are able to make a decision, but they are requesting a waiver.
Any questions?
I have a question. I'm reading the portion about the sanitizing of the building. Who would do that? Would they be responsible or our custodian?
Our custodians take care of that.
Do that. Okay, any others? Hearing none, I need a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve waiving the facility use fees, except for the cost of the custodian required to be on campus during the event at the Phillips Briggs Alumni Association using the Phillips Middle School multipurpose room on August 27, 2022, from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. to conduct the Phillips High School Alumni Reunion Picnic contingent on the facility being thoroughly sanitized after the event per the community use of facilities policy.
Second.
You've heard that motion and second for the approval of the community's facilities use application for Briggs Phillips Alumni Association. Hearing that motion and second, any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Item 8.4B, approval of renewal purchase of Ready class from Dr. Maury.
Good evening, Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, Board members, Superintendent Bridgers. I'm coming tonight to ask for approval of the renewal for I-Ready Math. This purchase is for Stocks Elementary School. They're using their IPG funds to purchase this curriculum, and it is part of the Ready curriculum that they are already using with I-Ready, in the amount of $12,259.92.
Any questions or comments? Anybody else using that? Or Stock's only one?
They are the only ones using the Ready Math.
I've heard it last year, I remember. Any comments or questions, anybody? Ms. Kent? Hearing none, we'll need a motion.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve the renewal purchase of the Ready Classroom Math Digital Access Grade K-5 and consumable materials for use by Stocks Elementary students and teachers from Curriculum Associate as the sole source with an estimate cost of $12,259.92.
Second motion.
There has been motion and second for the approval of the renewal purchase of the Ready Classroom Math Digital Access for grades K-5 at Stocks. You've heard that motion and second. Any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye. Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Item 8.5B, the approval of the contract between Edgecombe County Board and Water Contracting Company.
I'll ask Mr. Williams if he'll come forward.
Williams.
Good evening again, Mr. Board Chair, Madam Vice Chair, fellow board members, Superintendent Dr. Bridges. Come before you with a contract from between Edgecombe County Board of Education and Waters Contracting for the window replacement in Martin Academy gym. Is a total of $205,000, and this will be covered or funded by our ESSER funds.
Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Motion to approve the contract from Edgewater County Board of Education and Waters Contract Company for MMA gym windows replacement in the amount of $205,000.
Second motion.
Who was that?
Lily, give it to her.
Wordsmith. You've heard that motion and second. You've heard any further discussion on unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Laura Scott, aye.
Lily Worthley, aye. William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Thank you, sir. All righty, we're at the, we're ready for a motion to take us into closed session.
Mr. Stewart, I make a motion under the North Carolina Open Meeting Law, Section 3118.11, A1, A2, A3, and A6, to go into closed session to consider personnel matters, to consult with attorney to preserve attorney-client privilege information, and to prevent the disclosure of student records rendered confidential under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 U.S.C. 1232G, and the disclosure of personnel records rendered confidential under GS 115C-319 through 321. Second.
You've heard that motion and second for us to go into closed session under the law. Heard that motion and second. Any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Laura Scott, aye.
Lily Worthley, aye. William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Let us take 5. right, item number 10.1, personnel management. We need a motion to approve the personnel management as discussed in closed session.
Chairman, I make a motion to the personnel management that was discussed.
Motion and second for the approval of the personnel management. Any further discussion or unreadness? Hearing none, those in favor state your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marcus Scott, aye.
Billy Worsley, aye.
William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
And Kent, I.
That motion passed unanimously. Can we amend that and get Ms. Pittman to do what she was doing?
Yes. Is it okay for her to share?
You don't need to amend anything, she can just share.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
We need to
Was
approve.
that okay to move forward now, Reverend Privet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. So I just wanted to bring it back before the board this evening regarding the conversation that we had during the month of January. We did the study looking at supplements of various coaches in Nash County as well as in Wilson County. And based on a rough guesstimate, if we were to pay our coaches in a similar fashion, it would have been an increase of approximately, and this is an approximation because Ms. Leary did not crunch the numbers totally, but, you know, some guesstimation of approximately 171,000, which is a 51% increase if we aligned with Nash, and an additional 230,000 or so if we were to align our supplements with Wilson County. And so based on some of the options we discussed, because our athletics funding comes from local, one option would be to pull that from local, which Ms. Leary did not recommend at the time because it would be a recurring expense that could increase because of the years of experience, but also increase with coaches. And then we also talked about the option of presenting it to the commissioners during the spring meeting, which will be held next month. And I just wanted to circle back to the board to find out what the board's pleasure is regarding that conversation.
Now, I know that we have a committee and Ms. Stephanie Griffin.
Uh-huh.
Did you all talk to her?
So what she's saying is before Lori left, she ran some of the numbers.
Okay.
And when we compared it to Nash, it was
Okay.
$171,000 extra. If we compared it to Wilson, it was $230,000 extra. And we were trying to talk through,
Okay.
is this gonna be local? Because if it's local, it's recurring. And if we have coaches with more experience, that could creep up each year. Maybe not a lot, but it could creep up. And so I think what she's asking is because we have a county commissioners joint meeting May 5th, is this something we want to ask them for the funding for? Or is this something that we're saying we take out a local? And I think Ms. Leary was warning or kind of like that might not be the best place to do it. But otherwise, I'm not sure where we would get the money from. So we just needed to, that's not a decision for us, for the board to maybe talk through what that needs to look like.
Comments, questions, your pleasure.
I think we owe it to the coaches to at least ask the county commissioners.
To ask them for the funding?
Yes.
And maybe just show the different counties, because they always ask us to, what are your surrounding counties doing? So we could certainly do that and ask. And, you know, if they gave us all of it, great. If they gave us half of it or whatever, it's better than what we had.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you do not ask, you will not get
Right,
it.
that's right.
Absolutely not, that's
They
right.
will not volunteer to give you one penny. I'm a wicked.
Ms. Kent, any comments on that?
No, sir, I'm comfortable going to the county commission.
Consensus of the board?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll add it to our agenda items.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, we move now to 10.1.2 Extracurricular Addendum. Any questions or comments or further discussion on that? Hearing none, we need a motion.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve 10.1.2 extracurricular activities.
Second.
And that was Scott, right?
Yes, sir.
You've heard that motion and second for the approval of 10.1.2 extracurricular activities addendum. Hearing that motion, any further discussion or unreadiness? Hearing none, those in favor, let it state your name and say aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye.
Billy Worthley, aye. William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. Item 10.1.3, closed session minutes. Any problems with those? Hearing none, do we hear a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I offer a motion that we will approve our March 14th, 2022, closed session minutes.
Second.
Motion second for the approval of the closed session March 14, 2022 business minutes. You've heard that motion and second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor, let it be known by stating your name, saying aye.
Evelyn Wilson, aye.
Marvin Scott, aye.
Billy Worthley, aye. William Ellis, aye.
Evelyn Johnson, aye.
Ann Kent, aye.
And that motion passed unanimously. 11, board correspondence. Dr. B.
I don't have correspondence, but I do have a couple things in 12, and I'll ask Ms. Stagner to support me with the conversation around the design team and what
Okay.
that needs to look like going forward. Is it time? Okay, so Ms. Stagner and I talked about the design team. Mr. Cannon is working on the design team. He selected folks. We've had one design team meeting for the board. Reverend Privet's on the meeting. Part of that meeting, Dr. Wilson is, I am, Mr. Evans, TJ Walker. I'm just trying to think of elected officials. Others are parents and family members of students and parents for the demerger schools that we might acquire. And so, Dr. Meyer, I'm sorry. Dr. Meyer, hey. He's a part of that meeting as well. I'm trying to, did I leave anybody else off this
Well,
elected
let's see,
official?
we had an assistant principal from West, and we had
Dr. Ballard.
Yeah, and had a
yeah.
principal and assistant principal from
Yeah,
West.
so we had the principal and the assistant principal from West, thank you. So, the, Bud was online, yes, she was, thank you, she was online. She wasn't able to be there face to face. So.
And so was
Swanson?
Aaron.
It's Aaron Swanson. Thank you. So there's a design team. I'm not sure who's on it clearly, right? But what we're starting to get now is feedback from people within the community asking to attend those meetings, who's on the design team, where are the minutes. And so I reached out to Ms. Stagner because the first meeting, we didn't take minutes. We enjoyed the meeting. We did not run the meeting like we do our board meetings. And so I reached out to her to get some direction and to see if there's something we need to do differently. And so she did some research around that, sent me an email, and basically for us to be safe, we are going to operate as though it's an open meeting. Is that, you want to share a little?
So if any of you have been at my open meetings law presentations in the School Board Association will remember that a public body is an appointed or elected body with 2 or more members who has some function that includes an advisory function. And so in this situation, you have an appointed, Mr. Cannon appointed a committee, and it has an advisory function. Now, I think there is maybe some gray area. It's not clear cut because it's not appointed by the board or the superintendent, and so, whether or not, a principal or a director appointing a committee is the same thing, but I think that given that it does have an advisory function, there are board members on it, and ultimately, I think it has the approval of the board, even though you didn't vote on it. I feel like the safest route would be to treat it as a public body, because you've got 2 or more members. It's not purely made up of professional staff of the school district. And so for that reason, because there's nothing, clear cut in North Carolina law that says it's absolutely not a public body, I would hate for you all to be challenged and have a court tell you that it's a public body if we don't treat it that way. And again, given that the principle in our statutes is that the business of the public is carried out in public, that it makes sense to have public notice of these meetings of the whole entity. Now, there may be situations
And so I shared with Mr. Cannon today. So Rose has posted, because there's a meeting on Wednesday, so we wanted to make sure we have the 48 hours notice. Rose has shared a framework for England to be able to take minutes during those meetings, so we'll take care of that. And we will each time share with you all the PowerPoint as I shared with you this time, so you can see it. If you have questions, if someone asks you, you'll at least have access to that information. And while they are in attendance in the meeting, they're not participating, but the public has the right to be there, right? And so just wanted to bring you all up to speed on where we were with that. Yeah. For clarity. Sure.
Wednesday, it's already posted.
It's posted.
So, if the public attend and we're being brought information, so the public can ask questions, those that come in? Okay.
No.
They can only attend.
They can only
They can
hear.
only
They
attend.
aren't participating, yeah, they're not participating, they're there to listen. They may have,
Have
whatever.
questions, but they
can.
need to wait until that list of meetings come up that you.
To ask those questions.
To
And-
ask any
Right, and they may reach out to me. I've asked that, a couple people have reached out to Mr. Cannon to ask for a PowerPoint, or who's on the committee, and Susan has taken some of those calls. He
Okay.
has taken some of those calls, and I've told them to ask the people to send the request to me, so that he can do his work, not
Yeah.
get caught up in that, or someone,
Right.
quoting him on what he says. He doesn't need to be involved in that.
And Dr. B, I would certainly advise if you would chat with him to establish those ground rules at the beginning of the meeting.
Yeah,
on
I
Wednesday.
intend to,
Okay.
just so the whole team will know and they won't think he's done something, or,
Okay.
right, I'll take care of that,
Okay,
just.
I can do it if you.
Yep, absolutely, one of us will take care of that part, so that they don't have a question about it. Even the participation part,
That's
so
right,
no one
right.
thinks that they're gonna,
Sure.
yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Any questions?
The only other thing I'd say is you shared an article. We did check with Mr. Cannon about that April 18th
Mhm,
date.
right.
He did not
just
schedule
does
that.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been scheduled by Reverend Higgs.
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be at the other three, I won't be at that one.
well, that's not our meeting. So I'm not sure what they're gonna say in the meeting, but
I'd like to know, but I don't wanna be there.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Okay.
I don't want to be there.
I'm sorry, say it again.
I think I need to be there.
Reverend Higgs, on the 18th, that's what Donnell has indicated. I guess, I'm not sure how he knows, but, and it's listed in the paper. I hate for someone to think we've scheduled
You
it,
can keep it.
Okay,
but I don't know
'cause
that
you
we can
need to
control
read
that.
it later.
and I'll get it back to you.
Yeah.
I ain't worried about it.
Okay. All righty.
That's all from me.
Okay.
I have one question where I couldn't ask before.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, it was from, Mr. Williams.
Uh-huh.
Okay, the question I was gonna ask is, our maintenance people,
Mhm.
do they get any type of, like, coverage like medical? They have medical insurance?
Yeah, just like, they're a state employee, so just like everybody else.
Really?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Along those lines, Dr., did you finish?
Yeah.
Along those lines, Dr. B, didn't we lose a member of our
Yes,
staff?
we did. And I put that in the email.
Okay.
Alan,
Yes, that's
Alan,
right.
yeah.
I
That's
know
right.
him, I knew
read
him
that.
very
Yeah.
well.
Alan
He used to carry
Andrews.
the cross.
Yes, yes, we did lose him. Absolutely. His
So
wife works
our
at,
sympathy to that family, really.
his wife works at Coca Wimberley. Yeah.
Oh,
All right. Could we ask on behalf of the board if we send a card?
Absolutely, I think that'd be
Okay.
in order. In addition to that, I have gotten, I think it's Marvin Conley, who's superintendent in Cumberland. He's doing some type of national cancer drive, and so Susan and I were talking when I was kind of looking at the webinar, and so we plan to share some of that information with the board. And if we're able to pull that off, he along with Lisa Howell would be our kind of people we would lift up during that time. of asking staff members to help. It's kind of like a fundraiser, but we'll bring it to the board, we'll share, but we would probably lift those two names up. We have lost them this year due to cancer.
Okay. Anything, anybody?
Reverend Privet, I had that question from Ms. Pittman about the EC employees.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Ms. Pittman?
Yes, absolutely. So, Ms. Kent, I think your question was how many of our positions were actually vacant.
Right.
And so what I'll share is that currently, we have 5 vacancies, among our EC positions. Now, that number, it changes literally daily, but currently, as of tonight, actually, we went from having 4 EC vacancies, as far as licensed positions, to 5.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Anything else that claims our attention?
For me.
Let me say we enjoyed our trips.
We had a good time. Yeah.
Nothing else that, if there's nothing else for the good of the cause, if